Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Delighted to be hosting the first panel discussion of the day. And as the topic suggests, powering the next era of TV advertising. Well, I believe 2 years ago, CTV was just a buzzword, or maybe more, right? But today, India has over 50 million households with connected TV. And CTV ad spends have crossed 2,000 crore almost, and very much on track to cross the mark this year. So the real question is not that whether CTV is growing or not. The real question is, are brands moving fast enough to catch up with the trend of CTV, right? My first question that I would love to put across the table is, in one word or one sentence, maybe Udit, you can begin and we can take everybody through the conversation with that. How would you describe the current transformation in how Indian consumers engage with CTV today and its content?
I think if we see, like you said, in 2 years, CTV has evolved quite a lot. And it has led to some great democratization when it comes to reaching newer set of audiences. So for me, in one word, if I look at CTV in the current scenario, it's like an immersive multiverse, which gives you the opportunity to engage beyond one touch point and yet reach the right set of audiences for the brand.
Of course, I want to know there's another marketer on the table from you as well. If you'd like to add to that, and what's your opinion? And then I'll change the question for the agencies on the table.
Super. So I think it has just gone, because you asked for a word,
Yeah.
It's just gone from mass marketing to very precision data-driven viewing.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you. Monaz, key shifts that you've been observing in terms of consumers and families, and how, in what ways they are watching content in India, and what are the mediums that they're engaging with content in India via CTV?
So I think there are a couple of shifts happening at multiple levels as far as CTV content consumption is moving. There is obviously an individual level change that we are seeing.
Yeah.
When we say that, and you know what Udit said and what Priyanka is saying, essentially we're seeing more personalized content choices happen on the same screen for a different set of demographics in the same family.
Right.
What we are also seeing is a sudden surge of language, or what I would call as hyperlocal content in that sense, which one wouldn't have seen in the TV era, or was there, but you know, was limited to just some of the choices of top channels. I think the other big change that is happening from a family standpoint is that there is obviously fragmentation in terms of the kind of viewing choices that are happening, and yet ironically it seems like family time is now coming back again in front of a screen, but there is no time for that. I mean, it's not appointment viewing, it's happening more in terms of you know, what the family would like to see together.
Yeah.
And of course, there are a lot of tech changes that are happening on the back of that, but these are some of the changes that one is seeing.
Santosh, please add. And then Nishit, maybe you can.
Thank you. So most of my panelists have said those interesting point, and that's a shift we are also seeing is there. Is like, so first of all, it's a passive viewing has shifted to very intentional viewing, and that's where the bigger change has come is there. There's a personalization in the content, but CTV is bringing the core viewing together again, and that's being a very big change is there. It's like one interesting change which we have observed in this thing is that there's a high surge of tier 3, tier 4 markets as a component of the entire CTV is there. And in fact, in last year, if I go just from a percentage perspective, it is more than 60% surge has come from this market. And that is a kind of a significant addition to the CTV users is there. In terms of content consumption also, it is bringing a very interesting insight which was not usually available before, because it's on-demand content and all, and then this is the discussion we were doing before as well. It's like, so the people are viewing a Hindi very local content in some areas is there. There's a lot of Korean drama being watched in Hindi in the tier 3, tier 4 thing is there. And it is interesting data is that it's not just a Gen Z phenomena, but it's a co-viewing happening along with the family as well. So these are the very interesting things that are coming with those things is there. So, and I'm sure with more precise targeting and on the CTV, this will help a marketer a lot in terms of getting the better ROI.
Makes sense. Nishit, please, if you'd like to.
So definitely from the content viewing perspective, the viewing behaviors are changed, but I'll give you a slightly different perspective from the hardware lens. When it comes to the hardware lens, we always thought that TV sales would be higher when it comes to the tier 1 cities. And the larger screens are actually which are sold in tier 1 cities, but it's no longer the case. The tier 2 cities have the highest amount of TV sales, and these are devices which are more than 55 to 65 inches, which cost roughly about 2.5 to 3 lakh rupees. One of the reasons for that might be that houses in Bombay and Delhi are now shrinking. Not Delhi, but at least Bombay is now shrinking. But
You've hurt egos of all Mumbaikars all at once.
But this is a new change that we are observing. Also, as all of these guys also rightly mentioned, when it comes to content, every TV has a different kind of content watching behavior. In fact, a data point is that 13% of the entire Samsung TV households today are multi-TV households, and that too multi-TV Samsung households. So usually people prefer a 65-incher in the living room, and then you have a 45-incher or a 55-incher either in the home office or the bedroom. So these are some of the behavioral changes. So it has become an era of the empowered user today. So
Makes sense, makes sense. Getting back to the marketers, I think, Udit, I saw you do this when Nishit said some pointer and you were like, yeah, that's right. What was the point that you felt was said exactly right by him? And then I'll put a follow-up question to that.
See, like you said, 50 million, 60 million or of the people that are there as per the report has grown. Rural viewing, or if I can say tier 2, tier 3, 3, 4, is growing massively. In fact, some of those households come from states or cities which may have population less than 1 million. And I agree with this point of view on, in fact, data-led point of view on the higher sales. Now, what is it doing is, if you look at isolated screen viewing on your cell phone versus the viewing that is happening, co-viewing, on an HD TV. So what is basically CTV doing? It's bringing the entire family together to watch HD content with internet as a center stone, which was gone. You know, let's say it went to mobile-led viewing. So everybody has access to high quality, high fidelity content in rural areas. And if you look at even the urban population, the normal cord cutters, while linear TV would be the one that's driving maximum reach. But is that reach relevant to me is the bigger question. So in urban scenario, the cord cutters which are not subscribed to, let's say, linear TVs are the one that I target with my CTV Outlook. And let's say in context of MG, our ambition is to be India's #1 EV player, and Windsor is India's #1 EV. So the next tranche of EV education, EV infrastructure, EV adaptability is coming from the next set of towns. So CTV becomes the obvious platform where you're driving that incremental reach, not only from the awareness standpoint, but also how do I bring them back into the foray of, let's say, a test drive, let's say a brochure download, or keeping them immersed. So that are all the possibilities that I see specifically for tier 2, tier 3, and for the urban audiences.
Makes sense. Priyanka, please, yes.
So in fact, I just wanted to add a data point. So if there's a luxury consumption report that has come out, and if you guys actually get your hands on it, the maximum luxury sales, the growth in the maximum luxury sales has actually come from the tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 markets. Okay, obviously that you have to really look back on what is defined as tier 2, tier 3 in different context and different reports that come out. Having said that, the point that I want to make is that today luxury has touched these markets. People now know what they want. Okay, so customer is the king is now actually being lived in its true sense across all of India. So India and Bharat divide is actually blurring when it comes to consumption of good stuff. When and this comes out from my conversations with Amazon and Flipkart as well. Even they see maximum growth happening in these markets, and the growth is not backed by just buying certain small things. There are high value products which people are buying, which goes to tell and which works for us marketeers as well, that okay, my premium products also have a mainstay in these regions, and hence reaching them out in a non-traditional manner, which is then a connected TV, which is like a large screen, which shows the premiumness, and that connect comes out. And that's where I think that when I reach out to Bharat via a connected TV, it will leave a different impression on the minds of the customers as against doing a regular television ad.
Okay, makes sense. I now want to move more towards the immersive formats that are emerging, like you said about the K-dramas, and you know how micro-dramas is something that we were discussing at the backstage. Maybe I'll like to start with Santosh, Monaz can add up, and then we can go through the round of the table. How do you see creative storytelling evolving with CTV, and what are the new immersive formats that you see coming up that brands are engaging into?
Yeah, so I'll start with what Udit said is that CTV today provides a democratization of a premium content, which was not available before. Is that?
Yeah.
The second thing is the choices of the content that people choose rather than being broadcasted and all is like. Now, all this brings a premium viewing and the big impact back, added with the co-viewing, which multiplies the households. Because today co-viewing, when we are saying is that in most of the, even in auto journey as well, the influencers play a very big role. Young influencers in the family has a very large role in terms of deciding which car to be bought and all is like that. And if they're watching these things together, the storytelling becomes much more effective, much more efficient. Now, the other thing is there is like that when we are creating a big impact and all, because earlier it was we are serving NES mobile ads as well, where it's a mindless scrolling is happening with the attention span of 3 to 4 seconds, which becomes very difficult for a brand to get that attention and convey that message is there, where in the environment of a CTV, the video completion rates are very high because people are actually hooked onto those.
Yeah.
So that is one impact that recall that brings in. The second thing is that with ACR technology and all, it is further more precise targeting that brings behavioral buying and those things that makes our life easier is there. The third thing, very interesting thing is that 90% of the CTVs being watched with the people having mobile in their hand. And that creates a QR code scanning and those things very easy for the people. Yeah. That can create another trigger of an action of book a test drive or a local search of a dealer and all. That is taking that CTV from just being not only the immersive, but also getting into more accountable outcomes and accountable media.
Since I'm a Gen Z, I literally feel like you brands and agencies have a camera in my room, because how do you know that I'm always on my phone and have a screen working in the background? That's exactly the case, and you're very right. The memorability of the advertisements that have come up in CTV are much more long-lasting than the ad clutter that I come around on other mediums. It's very difficult for me to remember any brand, but somehow I do remember a few brands that I've seen during my CTV experience.
That is because the marketers are doing structured storytelling for your mind. Okay, and to answer how do we know that you're on your second screen, you're all hooked onto Wi-Fi. The first thing that people do in any place is, Acha, what is the Wi-Fi password?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and the moment you're on Wi-Fi, we know everything about you.
Yeah, right. Monaz, please add up to this.
Oh God, I'm very worried.
Yeah, exactly. I am too.
So I think let's pull back a little, because you talked about brand storytelling.
Yeah.
The fact is that for most people, thanks. For most people, CTV is actually their first screen now, and it's no longer a television which has then moved to which essentially says, and which is what Priyanka was also alluding to, brand storytelling needs to be a little larger than life, and that is exactly what CTV helps you do. It actually helps you create storytelling which is larger than life. I think there is still work to be done in that area, because you don't see all ads or all marketers adapt to that. So there is still some work to be done there. But I think what CTV is definitely doing and helping brands in is obviously effective targeting. And we saw that even in Nishit's presentation, the levels of targeting
Of course.
that you can do. And in a way, I would say that it's also helping you curb wastage to some extent,
Yeah.
right? I think the third thing that CTV is helping you do, and which we don't talk about enough, is actually hyper-localized creatives, which otherwise on television would be very difficult to do.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to run the same creative across.
Yeah.
But it's helping you do that as well. So in a way, I think it's got all the right ingredients for a great storytelling. Now we just need more ads that are, for CTV and not for TV.
Understood.
In that sense.
Yeah, yeah. Nishit, I have a fairly more data-driven question for you because, of course,
I
you're
thought
the guy.
so.
Of course, yes. So, how do you change the way TV campaigns for CTV is planned, executed, and sold, especially when you have access to richer data, all thanks to the all CTV in motion that we have?
Yeah, so one thing about data is that I want to clear that out of the air, that even when it comes to ACR, this is a completely PII, GDPR, and now DPDP compliant.
Yes.
So there is no
for making
data
me feel
which
better.
is actually collected at an individual level.
Yes.
But how this data is used is that these data points then gives an advertiser very intrinsic view into what is being watched on that particular television and how can it be used to make the campaign richer. So one is on the storytelling that, as Monaz also mentioned, and on the targeting capabilities that Priyanka and Santosh also mentioned. But when it comes to creative, that is also another very important aspect. Udit touched upon it. That when you look at a TV screen, which is roughly about, say, 65 or a 55 inches, which is the largest selling, the home screen masthead almost takes up about 35 to 40% of the real estate. So you'll have to create a creative strategy in order to make the TV screen feel so immersive that it resonates with the user who's watching it. Also from a data aspect, when it comes to TV viewership behavior, there are a lot of these data points which traditionally was considered that there is NPT, which is national prime time. Is national prime time still the case? It is. But when it comes to the national prime time, almost 97% of the total viewers today actually tune into streaming, and the linear percentage, which hovers at about 10%, drops down to 3%. So these are the kind of data points which is actually helpful for brands to steer their
Just adding on to what he is saying is that a lot of brands which are legacy in nature and have high amount of first party data, we can lead towards wastage, a lot of reduction in wastage, where I know that this person has interacted with the brand. Okay, you pick your first party data, use data clean rooms, marry it into DV360 and ensure that you're continuing that experience to that person. This also helps in doing sequential storytelling. So now it depends on what is it that you're trying to land with the particular user. And I can go audience and cohort level. I can personalize at scale. Thanks to AI, I can really, what I can say is that, this person has come to my website. Let's take an example of a Triumph bike, Over there, he's come and he's figured out something. He's left out at a place where we figure out that, maybe he's looking for a particular color, or maybe he's looking at, how does the height fit happens. And we curate content around it and ensure that where he's dropped out in my journey, I am able to pull him back from there and then convert him later. So, of course, the immersive experience of then pushing him down the funnel is a different thing. So it has just become so there is no linear funnel that has happened. So there is no awareness, consideration, and then conversion that happens.
Since you mentioned personalization, I actually have a very interesting point to take forward from here, that you mentioned about PI, GDPR and stuff. How do you as brands, agencies and facilitators in between ensure brand safety, contextual targeting, but also keeping all within the legal laws and not crossing the line when it comes to knowing people of your consumer segment? So whoever you'd like to,
Udit, you want to?
we can go with Udit and move towards that side.
See, when we're talking about personalization, it's just not hyper personalization at individualistic level. Obviously, there is hashing of data now with chief DPOs in every organization. There is a DPDP compliance narrative as well, where we are taking proactive consent of the customer, because without consent, even a reach out is a big penalty. But just going one step back, in terms of personalization, for me, everybody, when 3 years ago or 2 years ago, when you used to talk about hyperlocal, everybody used to only think hyperlocal from lead gen. However, if you go back to conventional mediums like print, hyperlocal has been the game, when you're doing through and through. It's been in the grain of print. Now, where CTV personalization at a contextual level starts is, let's say Jaipur as a market. I want to increase my market share in Jaipur as a town. I can just build a micro market strategy, CTV focused, to the preferences of Jaipur as a market. I know through my modeling exercise what is the detractor or the attractor saying that I want in my product. So the beauty of the thing is, like in Meta, YouTube, other platforms, you were doing hyperlocal ad sets. You can have 20 cities based on market share saying, I will serve them personalized creatives. Classic example here again to showcase is EV Sahiye. We did EV Sahiye last year. We had 22 unique customer stories from different towns, different cities. And in each market, their regional languages, their person, their product, authenticity to drive their story. So personalization doesn't mean intrusiveness. I think what we are mistaking personalization for is intrusiveness. And with the beauty of new age ad products, for example, like pause ads, you are also encouraging immersive, non-intrusive behavior coming into advertising. The moment it becomes intrusiveness, that 17 minutes of retention time may go down to 2 minutes the moment you became intrusive in nature. So I think that's really important, that personalization doesn't mean intrusiveness, and that's how brands need to even take care of customer safety, that you're not becoming intrusive in their viewing experience.
Monaz and Priyanka.
So I think CTV is relatively brand safe in that sense, because most of the times if you're sort of using YouTube CTV in that sense, you're anyways firing it through DV, and there are enough and more, how do I put, checks and balances in place. Most of the times, even if you're looking at immersive experiences, those experiences are largely happening on home screens, which means that you're not even sort of, the ad loads even before the content can load. So in that sense, you're fairly brand safe. So in that sort of a arena, I think it's fairly brand safe. Like Udit says, I completely agree. Personalization is not to be sort of mistaken with intrusiveness, and it's just another layer of personalization that it's allowing you on a medium, which we believe in a way mimics TV because it's slightly more lean back, and therefore there is high attention in that sense. So that's my 2 bits on brand safety.
Just adding one line and taking from Udit and Monaz is there. So brand safety is just a hygiene, which of course being very well taken care of. The more important today brand looks for a brand suitability as well. And that suitability comes, and CTV is a very strong enabler for that suitability, because today it allows us to choose the content where we want to be present, curate the content where really we can connect and being very contextually relevant to the content and the brand values. And these things actually create a much more longer lasting impact rather than just being present as an intrusive advertisement system.
Priyanka and Nishit, just close this subhead before we go to the next and very interesting question to close our panel.
Very quick point. Today, attention is currency. Okay, so we have to use it judiciously as marketers. So, and coming back to the personalization piece, I have a very interesting piece that we've done on Chetak. So I'll take a minute to just tell you guys about it. So what we have also done is that we've gone ahead and seen that which part of India, what part of the feature really resonates. Okay, so for example, in a hilly region, the hill assist is what resonates. Okay, then there is another I'm not going to be naming states and all, but then we figured out that this is the area where you have a lot of young mothers who are dropping their kids off.
Yeah.
So that is a use case. And then you curate content and ensure that this content is distributed in this area. So like Udit said, it is not intrusive at the same time, because attention is a currency, and if I see what is in it for me and it is resonating with me, is when I will give full attention. Otherwise, having any VTR doesn't matter. It can just be going, on and it will show a good VTR.
Understood.
I
Last
just
2
have-
minutes we have.
I
wrap
just
up.
have a 3-word answer for the
Yes,
brand
please.
safety question. One is brand safety is equals to relevant distribution is equals to transparency.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that today in the world where brands are now getting more conscious and privacy is something which is taken very seriously, brands should know where the ad is running, what is the distribution channel. There might be 10 people claiming a particular inventory, but the brand has to know where that ad is running, and which is where log level data, complete transparency from platforms, especially like us, is expected, which we are doing.
Okay, awesome. We have last 1.5 minute left. I just want everybody to take about 30 seconds and tell me, if you had a dream campaign in mind and you had no limitations, what would it include for the CTV ad campaign of your next brand campaign? What could it be?
Wow. I'd definitely say measurement.
Okay.
Because unified reach, I think, is currently lacking. And that is what I would love to see. If I were to look at all different platforms of CTV, in that sense, or touch points of CTV, what is that really adding to my
Amazing.
Okay.
Please.
I would definitely start with a very hero, impactful film on a streaming,
Yeah.
and then going on the sequential creative to build that narrative more stronger, and then hyper localize it to create that impact.
Okay.
And at last, getting the last milestone of test drive or QR code cancellation so that it completes my
Yes,
journey.
makes
The
sense.
second one list I want to add very quickly is there, which will gonna happen in next 9 months is there. With the impact of AI and the inclusion of AI coming into everything is there. There's a strong prediction model will be employed on the CTV as well, basis on the data and all. That will leverage us even to tell that this guy is going to buy a car in next 6 months, this particular car, and this is his color of choice. And we are waiting for that moment. Yeah.
I think I want it to be gamified.
Okay.
My dream campaign on CTV is gamification, and
Okay.
gamification led by immersion.
Nice. Priyanka.
I was going to say something on those lines, but yeah, I'm just going to now change. I would want my CTV ad to be a complete showroom experience, right from discovery to sale.
Okay, Nishit, last
I
comment.
would say all of these which gives me revenues. So that is my dream campaign.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a